Back to 2000, one of the greatest, if not the greatest year in WWF history. It's a sentiment many share, and it's hard to disagree. While the year wasn't as wild as 1998 or 1999, it didn't need to be. The stories were well written, and because of this, there was way less duds. To truly understand how good the year was, the face of the company, Stone Cold, was missing, yet the product didn't tumble or miss a beat because there was the Rawk & Co. They all stepped up in his absence, and the difference from Survivor Series 1999 to Survivor Series 2000 is huge. Kurt Angle debuted as this baby face. Obviously, he was never booked to be a good guy from the beginning, and by the end of his first year, was the champion. Edge and Christian were these guys who were allergic to speaking, and then they turned into the biggest goofballs. There was character development, excellent matches, and a feeling where anything could happen. Which brings me to the first pay-per-view of 2000, the Royal Rumble. Looking back on 1999, the year as a whole didn't have many outstanding pay-per-views for the WWF. Of course, there's Backlash, Fully Loaded, SummerSlam, and No Mercy. However, the Royal Rumble and MSG obliterates all of them in my opinion. I don't know if it was the Millennium Change or whatever, but the year as a whole was pretty damn consistent on pay-per-view. Ironically, the most disappointing show from the year was WrestleMania. Well, regardless, when you have student of the game Triple H, $500 shirt Rawk, and Cactus Jack, it's a recipe for success. What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get into the video. Okay, Royal Rumble 2000 was held in Madison Square Garden in Manhattan, New York on January 23rd, 2000. 19,231 were in attendance to witness the peak of Too Cool, and the buy rate was 590,000, which was slightly down from the 650,000 which 1999 had. As I said earlier, the WWF was on fire here, and they showed no signs of stopping. First match on the show was between Kurt Angle and a mystery opponent. Around this time period in the ever-changing landscape of the World Wrestling Federation, Kurt Angle was a newcomer and struggled to accept the boost from the fans. I'm talking in kayfabe, of course. Slowly, he was showing his true colors by insulting the fans and acting all arrogant. This eventually led to a huge success for the Olympic hero, but in this time, he was undefeated here and had yet to actually take a loss via pinfall or submission. As to the mystery opponent, well, it could have been anyone looking back. That's the element of surprise. The Attitude Era had a bunch of them, and let's just say this match featured one of them. Angle came in and said that a true hero is what New York needs. Then took a jab at the city, saying they'll have to wait forever for the Knicks to win a title. 22 years later, and that's still a fact. Angle transitioned the promo to the mystery opponent, and the man was anything but worried and told the opponent that he's got nothing to be scared of. Meanwhile, Taz's chants intensify, and there's the countdown. The crowd went insane upon hearing this, and this man came out like a total badass, absolutely fearless and fully focused on dropping Kurt Angle, and from out of nowhere, he struck him and quickly forced him to make mistakes. ECW chants intensify while Angle suplexed Taz on the concrete floor, and at this point, he didn't have much momentum, but was still desperate to isolate the suplex machine. Angle went up top and paid the price, and this almost gave Taz the victory, but Angle had his foot on the rope. German from the undefeated man, but once he went for it again, Taz decided to show off his suplexes, leading to the Taz mission. He forcefully tried fighting out, but he wasn't successful, and Taz ended the undefeated streak. That was one hell of a debut. If you don't know who Taz was, you're thinking this guy was a huge deal. He came in and snapped this undefeated streak within 3 or 4 minutes, and he just looked like a big star. However, well, Taz did enjoy the debut. At the same time, he didn't really see things the same way as many fans do. Here's what he had to say in an interview back in 2018, and I quote, "It was the greatest moment of my career and my worst. I'll explain why it was the worst. When I came out when I was in gorilla position, Bruce Pritchard was in gorilla. When Kurt Angle was out there cutting his promo, I said to Bruce that I hope they know who I am. Taz said, I was afraid because I was from ECW, the small little bush leagues. When they heard the heartbeat of my entrance, the crowd exploded and Bruce Pritchard said to me that he thinks they know who I am. When I walked through the curtain walking slow with a towel on my head, I had an epiphany that I was doomed because the pop was not built by this place. It hit me walking down the aisle, and I'm not a spiritual guy, but it hit me. I'm like, wow. I was still focused on the match." Taz went on to add that he did not know that the commentary billed the Taz mission as an illegal chokehold. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler were saying that I put him in an illegal chokehold, but that wasn't part of the shtick. I got swerved. There was no words told to me or by anybody that it was going to be an illegal choke. Those words never came to my ears until I heard the commentary. When I came through the current after that, it was like a ghost town. Vince McMahon wasn't in Gorilla, and it was a live Royal Rumble at the Garden. I thought I had heat, and if you go back and watch it, there was a German suplex that I did to Kurt, and he landed on his belly. What happened was when I grabbed Kurt, he popped up, and I took him back down. I would always say to guys to let me control them. Kurt and we didn't know each other that well in the ring, and Kurt is aggressive, and I knew the timing was way off. I knew that if I went through that throw, he was going to get hurt. I just knew it. I put him back down and then did the throw on my pacing, and from what I feel and heard, that freaked out the boss and those that were close to him. Yeah, I heard apparently that Taz got some heat due to his suplexes at the time, and Kurt Angle even came to his defense in another interview, during his Kurt Angle Show podcast last year. Taz just didn't seem to see things positively for the most part despite this amazing debut. Backstage, the Hardys told Terry that there's no way she's walking out there to the ring with them and that they were going to do what they do best. Okay, and the next match was a tag team tables match, which I believe was a first for the WWF at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Dudley Boyz, Devon and Bubba, faced the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Hardy. Bubba decided to start cursing the fans and called them out for cheering the Pretty Boy Punks. Similar to Angle, he hit them where it hurts, saying he supports John Rocker, and from out of nowhere, these two sides brawled. Bubba bombed from Bubba, and already he's looking to wrap it up. It was almost disastrous for Jeff, but Matt saved him before rebounding with a plancha. Devon saved himself as well, and on the outside, Bubba took a cracking chair shot before cracking Jeff in the face with a table. Back in the ring, the Hardys did catch Bubba with a superplex, but Devon did his brother a favor. For some reason, at the same time, Matt brought in a ladder, and they started doing work. Things got interesting after Matt set that ladder up because he started brawling with Devon. What did that fan do to him? All of a sudden, Bubba dies after taking one of the most brutal table spots, and Matt Hardy comes in late like a DLC pack or something and just adds additional damage. So it's 2-on-1 now. Matt thought he was going 2 for 2, but he landed on his ass, and since Jeff likes diving, he fouled up. Since those two were beaten up so badly, the Dudleys easily rebounded with a mean-ass powerbomb through a table, and so now it was 1-on-1. They continued where they left off and tried keeping the guys down. Jeff was trying to fight back, but he wasn't doing so well. Bubba got far too ambitious, and down he went. Devon was next. Jeff went all out with a swanton. They won the match. You could easily see why the Hardys were so popular. They have that unique look and charisma to them. Add to that, they always gave caution to the wind without any worry over their own bodies. This match itself, it was nice and quick. It never got boring, and I think it has a great replay value. You could just watch this match many times because of how quick it ends and because of how interesting it is, you know? There's always something going on. The Hardys were doing some random-ass spots such as the suicide dive, and I can't recommend this match enough. It's a nice precursor to the violent and wild TLC matches that occurred later that year. Oh yeah, this segment. So it was the Royal Rumble Swimsuit Competition thing. There was Ivory, Terry, Jackie, BB, the Medic, Luna, and the Cat. A panel of WWF legends, including Sergeant Slaughter, the Fabulous Moolah, Johnny Valiant, and Tony Gurria, were the judges for this one. So this is how it went. Ivory looked angry. Terry was practically naked from the back. Jackie was putting in far more effort compared to the others. BB, the Medic, did something. Can't blame me if you don't remember her. Luna refused to go through, and the Woman of the Month, the Cat, was dressed in bubble wrap, and this was the moment the King knew he wanted to be with her. All of a sudden, Mae Young came out, and nobody asked for this, but she ended up taking it one step too far. It was censored, though, and I should also mention that this was apparently a stunt and not real. As a result of all of this, Channel 4 in the UK were absolutely livid. I believe this was the first pay-per-view on the channel in the UK, and the WWF decided to pull a stunt like this. The judges certainly weren't livid, and she won. Yeah, this is one of the reasons WWE went PG. No way in hell would you see something like this today. There's not much to say here, other than the fact that WWF did not give a damn. They were doing a whole lot, and they were generating a whole lot of controversy, but they didn't care. And it took a while for them to change. They were wilding. In the back, Chris Jericho and Chyna argued over who should wear the belt out to the ring. Neither person's ego allowed them to back off, but Jericho managed to run away with the title. The next match was for the undisputed Intercontinental Championship. Hardcore Holly challenged both Chris Jericho and Chyna for the title. At this point, Chris Jericho was slowly getting comfortable in the WWF. He was turning into a red-hot babyface and had one of the best runs that year. Chyna's star power was increasing gradually, and she was the only women's IC champion. And as the weeks went by, she began featuring in more magazines, talk shows, commercials, and looking at her value to the company by the end of the year, I'd say she was one of their more important wrestlers on the roster. After a slapfest goes down, Chyna gets thrown to the outside, leading to a battle between Hardcore and Y2J. Beautiful dropkick from Holly, and the King was still thinking about what had occurred earlier. From out of nowhere, Jericho locked in the walls, but Chyna broke the hold, leading to a chorus of boos. Things intensified after Y2J connected with a springboard before getting into it with Chyna. She caught Jericho with the handspring elbow and the DDT, but Hardcore came in, and he got a little too overboard and wanted to use a chair, but Y2J saved her. They double team him, well kinda, and from out of nowhere, Chyna caught Jericho with a low blow. She had the pedigree on Holly, but he managed to kick out. Electric chair crossbody incoming, that almost leads to the victory, and the two men battle it out on the top, while Chyna hit them where it hurts. Superplex, yeah, Holly still found the wherewithal to go for a pin. Chair shot, and he's basically knocked out. Of every move she used, she decided to go for the walls, and Chris made her pay for it. 1, 2, 3. Decent little match. Hardcore should have wore the jeans because when he wears them, he's 99 overall, but the whole thing isn't something you should go out of your way to watch. Some of the spots were awkward, but other than that, it's solid, and that's literally it. There's not much to say about it. In the back, The Rock was interviewed by Michael Cole in regards to the Raw Rumble match. The Grey One was apparently concerned with Crash Holly and Mosh most, and said that if he gets past them, well, maybe, just maybe, he's got a chance at winning. Cole asked him about the Big Show, and the way Rock turned around is like he heard someone say his rap song sucks. So he went on an all-out attack on the Big Show, and the Grey One gave everyone a spoiler on what happens that night. This man was so annoyed by Big Show to the point where he wanted him to be one of the last two. If that wasn't enough, The Rock Rawk guaranteed victory tonight. Damn, was this man electric. 2000 was his year. He was finally number one and didn't disappoint. Not on the promos, not with the character, and damn certain not in the ring. There's a reason why 2000 was one of WWF's most successful years, and The Rawk played a huge part in it. The next match is for the WWF Tag Team Championships. The New Age Outlaws defending the titles against the Acolytes. Similar to the tables match, these two teams wanted to kill each other. More so on the Acolytes' side because they live for these types of encounters. JBL and Farouk just go out there and wrestle like the opponent owes them money. And this feud in particular was born after the Acolytes won a Battle Royal. The Outlaws thought they were jokes, but Bradshaw and Farouk showed them by trashing the friendly tap. About the match itself, from out of nowhere, the Acolytes struck. Billy connected with this beautiful dropkick, but JBL didn't falter. Farouk's tagged in and he starts having fun. Billy decides to interfere, but he takes a clothesline along with the Road Dogg. The legal man tried capitalizing, but Bradshaw was like, not today, and dropped him like a bad habit. Speaking of dropping, Bradshaw clotheslined Mr. S so bad he thought he's rockabilly again. The challengers had the match won, but the ref was knocked down. They hit the double power bomb, and X-Pac is here. He connected with the spin kick, which led to the famouser, and they retained. It was quick as hell. Bradshaw and Farouk were portrayed as this extremely tough team that was going to beat the Outlaws with ease, but DX had to dig down deep and find an easy way out, and it's not a bad match at all. I enjoyed the action, but it lasted for about 2 or 3 minutes. At least that's what it felt like. The Acolytes would end up opening their business about a few weeks later, entitled the Acolyte Protection Agency, while the New Age Outlaws ended up splitting after Billy Gunn suffered an injury. The next match is for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Triple H defends the gold against Cactus Jack. This is one of those storylines that I always loved watching as a kid. Again, I'm no Attitude Era kid, but a long time ago I used to watch old WWF videos on YouTube and Daily Motion. I'd spend hours watching them, and the matches were never uploaded as a single part. No, you had to watch 5 parts. The segments were always uploaded with the yellow Fox Sport logo on the top, the Raw segments, and rarely would you see a clip in good quality. What I'm getting to here is basically, this story is one of my favorites. Mankind was this kind-hearted yet violent individual, and I wouldn't say he was deranged here. Basically, after Mankind turned face in 1998, he didn't show off that dark side he had in a very long time. Triple H, on the other hand, was a cold and calculated student of the game. He got the title and started becoming absolutely addicted to the feeling of heaven on his shoulder. He married the boss's daughter and had complete control of the WWF in a way. One of his main targets was Mankind because he was one of the only 4 men that spoke up against the new McMahon-Helmsley era. So they managed to get rid of him. Foley's distraught about this, but nonetheless the WWF threatened to go on strike if he wasn't rehired. They obliged, and now Foley was back. The game was still bugging him, and at this point, at least from what I'm seeing, Mankind wasn't enough to handle all of this. He wasn't as violent or deranged as he was in the past. Enter Cactus Jack. He was certainly capable of going to a level that Mankind just couldn't anymore. Add to that, he was a lot more unpredictable because he hadn't been seen in a while, and this caused Triple H to be out of his element. The moment Mankind removed his shirt and his mask, Triple H reacted like he told him Stephanie was marrying Test. All he did was take off a shirt and mask, and this guy sold it like $1 million. He made you believe that this is something different. Like, this guy's gonna beat my ass. He's gonna destroy me. This match, this one, is held in high regard, and rightfully so, because of the violence and the storytelling. The bell rings and Foley's saying some random stuff. He delivers strikes, the game strikes, but at this point the hardcore legend showed more intensity. The champion had to bring in a chair, and even then Foley showed no fear and ran straight into a chair shot, but this was only the beginning. Cactus recovered and continued where he left off. He dropped the game into the crowd, and an Attitude Era brawl begins. Cactus gets overzealous, leading to a moment from the champion, and for the 3rd time, Jack didn't stay down. He was dishing out an assault, and all of a sudden, he brought the barbed wire, and Foley staring at it like he found money in the ring. Unfortunately for him, Triple H was the one to use it, and he was swinging for his life. He attempted to hit him in the face, but found no success, and the ref took the weapon away, and Foley followed up by hitting the double-arm DDT. Hugo Savinovich hit it and paid the price, and finally Triple H took a shot to the face. He connected with another, and at this point the champ was busted open like he's Ric Flair. His skin was being grated by a man who had zero compassion, and it took him a while to finally counter something, but it was huge. Back in the ring, Triple H actually started fighting back despite the huge gash on his leg and the bloody face. His pedigree went south, and before he knew it, was back to the barbed wire. Nonetheless, Triple H kicked down, used Cactus's momentum against him. Chop block, and it's back to the 2x4. In an effort to fully suppress Cactus Jack, he did a sequel to the previous year and tried handcuffing him. This had a shaky start to it, because handcuffed man was whooping his ass. Helmsley finally woke up and decided to destroy a chair on Foley's back, and the King believed Cactus was running away, but also alluded to Foley possibly leading him in. He began shouting, and from out of nowhere, The Rawk nailed Helmsley, and everything was fair now. To make matters worse, Foley was set loose, and we all know what that means. The tides shifted, and Cactus was back on the attack. Piler driver on the announce table, thumbtacks entered the match, and the commentary were horrified. This was when Stephanie had enough. Luckily, Triple H backdropped Cactus and hit the pedigree. 1, 2, No. He kicked out, and that crowd was chanting Foley's name until the game decided to hit another pedigree, but this time it was on the tax. 1, 2, 3. Talk about showing up. This was everything that it needed to be. Triple H was made. He was slowly climbing up the ladder, and this performance basically showed that he's the real deal. The story itself was so damn good, with Foley constantly getting back up and driving Triple H to a whole other level of violence. I believe he even said this in a promo on Raw a week earlier. Cactus Jack kicked out of the damn pedigree, and even though he lost, it wasn't like he was down, because he attacked afterwards. But yes, like a bunch of people in the future, this turned out to be the coming out party for the game. Mick Foley's always the guy they call for these matches, because every single time these men's career is categorized as this: career before the Mick Foley feud and the career afterwards. This happened to Randy Orton, Edge, and Triple H himself. In Triple H's case, it did a lot for him, and I consider it to be one of, if not the biggest moment of his career up to this point. There's SummerSlam 98, the first title win, and now this. About the match itself, the more said the better. They constructed a well thought out story, with the weapons being the main centerpiece. At some points, it felt like Triple H was scared of Cactus. He brought this monster upon himself, and even though he won, it was hell getting to that point. Definitely a top 5 WWF match of 2000. I might even say it's the best, but I gotta watch those matches again in order to determine if it is. And the main events, the 30-man Royal Rumble. Last man remaining is the winner, and he goes on to WrestleMania 2000 to challenge the WWF Champion. It's a Rumble, and I'm a Battle Royal shill, so I'm clearly gonna like this one. Looking back, it does seem extremely predictable, because other than The Rock, the other guys are mostly mid-card, barring maybe the Big Show and Kane. But that said, D'Lo and Grandmaster Sexay start things off. Grandmaster is one of the 3 babyfaces that the King actually liked, the others being the Godfather and The Rock. And both men start things off with Grandmaster having the edge. Number 3 was Headbanger Mosh, the man who The Rock feared the most. He went after Grandmaster immediately, and I just burst out laughing seeing Kaientai make a run in, because we all know how it ended for Taka several minutes later. Here, they were easily thrown out like they were 45 overall jobbers, and Mosh's attire was questioned by the King, who wondered if it was a tribute to Mae Young. Sky High, Bulldog from Grandmaster, and Christian enters at number 4. He hits the inverted DDT before going after Grandmaster Sexay. Boot in the corner, rallying from others, just battle royal stuff. Number 5 turned out to be Rikishi, and he had one of the best reactions of the night. And what's crazy is that this man had only debuted a month earlier, yet was positioned to potentially become a main eventer, and the fans were already going crazy for him. He cleared the ring of Mosh, Christian, and while D'Lo did halt his momentum for a moment, he was out as well. Then things got awkward. The next entrance was ironically Scotty 2 Hotty, and this turned out to be one of those Attitude Era moments. During the damn Royal Rumble, they did the Too Cool dance. Fans are going crazy. They were excited, but at a moment's notice, Rikishi did it for the WrestleMania main event, and he went solo. I love this. It's silly and far out of place due to the match itself. That's what makes it special. Lethal Weapon entered next and actually dropped Rikishi, but similar to D'Lo Brown, he fell victim. Things quickly got serious though, as Viscera was here, and he whooped Rikishi's ass unlike the others. But he got too ambitious like the XFL, and Rikishi made the most out of this. Speaking of big man, the Big Boss Man was next. His strategy was way better than others, and he knew how much of a threat Rikishi was, so he preferred to wait it out. By the time the next entry came out, Rikishi was recharged, and to make matters worse, it was Test who was livid with the Boss Man. Next up was the British Bulldog, who was honestly the most underwhelming return during this time period. Gangrel was here, but unlike the others, didn't make much of an impact, except for that's one of the most memorable moments from this Rumble, in my personal opinion. Number I don't know was Edge, and for some reason they started attacking him like he was Roman Reigns and almost got eliminated. Poor Boss Man. Test and Edge are battling on one side, where Gangrel and the Bulldog were trying to isolate Rikishi, and all of a sudden, the MSG legend himself, Bob Backlund, was here, and the crowd went insane. He didn't really do much except assist the others in getting rid of Rikishi, and the crowd went wild once again after the Intercontinental Champion made his Royal Rumble debut. He drop-kicked Bob Backlund straight to 1982, and in other places, it was just brawling, and it was time for the 400-pound man, Crash Holly, to enter the match. He was treated like a little kid, but nonetheless escaped elimination. Chyna made her second appearance after 99 and right out of the gate went after Jericho. This almost went terribly for her, but she righted the ship and suplexed Jericho out, only to get pushed away by the Boss Man. Farouk entered next, and the Mean Street Posse made his night worse by jumping in, which led to the Rumble elimination. Poor man didn't even have time to imagine himself in the WrestleMania main event. The guys were taking it easy here in order to preserve their energy. Road Dogg ran in with so much intensity, but Test shut that down. Al Snow did a whole lot of that mid-card offense. During all this, the Bulldog was thrown out. Edge on the other side connected with a crossbody. Val Venus was next, and Funaki tried to make yet another attack for the third time. Taka was nowhere to be found because he was sent to the hospital. Prince Albert's here just in time for Edge to be thrown out, and there wasn't much around here. Nothing was happening, and it ain't worth mentioning. Hardcore Holly was apparently number 23, which shocked me because I was like, dang, 23 men entered this match already. The King was talking about The Rock, and lo and behold, The Rock was number 24, and that crowd was the loudest it had been in a while. Now the match actually picked up a bit. He smacked the boss man right out of there, and the men in the ring were eager to stop him. Mr. Ass, who entered next, took notice of this and did something about it. Rock finally fell back and got rid of Crash before Hardcore tried finishing him off. Speaking of big stars, the Big Show is here and he caused chaos. Test and Gangrel were eliminated with ease. Hardcore was being dominated, and it was time for Bradshaw. For the second time, the posse ran in, and JBL destroyed them with ease, but unfortunately for himself, his back was turned and he was eliminated. After the countdown, the lights went out and Kane was here. He tossed Val Venus out, and a fearless Rock stepped up to the plate, but he didn't do much. Same with Prince Albert, who was eliminated during the Godfather's entrance, and yes, the hoes were here. Funaki for the 4th or 5th time is here, and the King is constantly calling him Chinese, to which JR for the 10th time said he's Japanese, and even called the King xenophobic. And the final entrant, number 30, was X-Pac. From out of nowhere, Al Snow clotheslined Hardcore right out of there. The Big Show is pretty damn dominant, eliminating the Godfather. And speaking of Al Snow, he was out. Road Dogg's looking in that direction, and Mr. S tosses him out. Kane takes advantage, and now we've got the final 4. In the ring, X-Pac was far too ambitious, leading to his elimination. Well, actually, I'm wrong because the refs didn't notice because of the brawling outside. Big Show finally took a big move from Kane, but from out of nowhere, X-Pac spun kicked him out before going for the Bronco Buster. This was the stupidest thing he did because the Big Show press slammed him out, and now we're down to 2. The Rock laid the smacking down on the Big Show and successfully hit the people's elbow. He tried getting rid of him, but ran into a brick wall and took a choke slam. The fans start booing at this, and they lift Rock onto his shoulder, and he gets flipped out of there. Yep, Big Show got eliminated, meaning The Rock wins. Well, from that angle, because The Rock was out. Didn't matter here, this guarantee was proven true. What this meant was The Rock was going back to WrestleMania. He grabbed the mic afterwards and said, quote, "Finally, The Rock is going to WrestleMania." All of a sudden, the Big Show made his return and tossed him out, and it was clear that he was holding resentment over the results of the match. That's the Rumble. Honestly, it's not my favorite Rumble by any means. It's a battle royal, so I kind of like it, but the things that hurt this the most is the action, the drama. There wasn't much going on in the ring after the Too Cool dance. Add to that, the biggest stars in this match were The Rock, Big Show, and Kane. That's it. Other than that, this was the mid-card Royal Rumble. Even when Rock entered, it wasn't that interesting for me, and if you skip 3/4 of the match, it's not like you miss much. Maybe Taka's bump, maybe the Too Cool dance, but otherwise, it just has to be the weakest Rumble of the 2000s in my opinion. From the star power to the action itself, I just thought it was a bit weak. But I enjoy it because I enjoy battle royals, but as I said, I didn't like it as much as the others. Alright, that's the Royal Rumble. I enjoyed making this video, it was a very good pay-per-view. It was a very easy watch for the most part, from the opener to the main event itself. There wasn't a bad match on here, not a single bad match. Like, the worst match on here is Bradshaw and Farouk versus the New Age Outlaws, but even that wasn't bad. It just ended after 3 minutes. The Hardy Tables match, in my opinion, is a must-watch. That thing is over before it overstays its welcome, which is a nice thing. And my match of the night is clear as day. It's the WWF Championship match because, as I said, there was an amazing story there. There was a violence. There was a star-making performance. I wouldn't say it's a star-making performance outright because Triple H was already a star, but it did help him a bit during that time period, I'd say. The Rumble itself, as I said, it falls a bit short when compared to the others, but I enjoy Battle Royale, so I thought it was decent enough. Okay, what did you guys think of Royal Rumble 2000? Please comment down below, and that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the pedigree on the like button and perhaps the rock bottom on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.